It's our distinct honor to be joined by a regular In the Trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics, and that is Solomon Wilcots. Played for the Cincinnati Bengals. He does broadcast work. He is a podcaster. You name it, Solomon Wilcots has done it with respect to football. And I always like to get his take on what's going down with the Cincinnati Bengals. And Solomon Wilcots always delivers. And you're not going to be disappointed by what he has to talk about today and what the Bengals need to do to turn things around in Kansas City. Well, you know what? What a great decision you made to join us in the trenches today. Brought to you by First Star Logistics. You're in the trenches with Dave Lapham, and you're in our brand new studio. And we are joined by a football guy, my man. This guy played the game of football. This guy is an elite broadcaster in the game of football, an elite podcaster in the game of football. He is football. This is Solomon Wilcots. Solly, welcome to the show, my man.
Hey, great to be on with you, Dave. I wish we were on together under better circumstances coming off the week one disappointment against the Patriots. But you got to always turn it to the next game. That's what we do in this biz, right?
No doubt, no doubt. Before we get too far into it, give everybody how they can catch up with you from a podcasting standpoint, Solly, in what you're doing.
Well, you can always catch me on the Believe in Bengal podcast on Bally Sports Ohio, or wherever you get your podcasts, on YouTube channel as well, BLEAV, Believe in Bengals podcast. We love the show. We get to talk Cincinnati Bengals, tell you what you could expect and what's happening out on the field. And, of course, you can catch me on SiriusXM NFL Radio, Channel 88, Monday through Friday on Channel 88. Of course, it's the opening drive from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern time. That's where we're talking about the entire National Football League. But, of course, the Cincinnati Bengals are right up there. Now, we got to keep winning. But, as far as I'm doing a 3-hour show, we're always going to be talking about the Bengals.
I hear that. And I listen religiously, man. I'm a big fan, big follower of you guys on Sirius Radio, Sirius NFL Radio, Sirius XM NFL Radio. So, man, Solly, where do we begin? Everybody said the Bengals are heavy favorite. I mean, it was the biggest point spread in the league.
That's
8.5 points dropped down to 7.5 right before kickoff, but it was, and everybody thought it was going to be that kind of game, except the New England Patriots, and they're the ones that counted. And I know you go to the games, you're at the game. What was your first take, Solly? What did you think about the football game?
First of all, coming into the game, I gave the Patriots a much closer chance of winning this game than most people. When you cover the league like we do, Dave, like literally in this granular level, in a world full of database, full of empirical data that's not emotional, that's just it's just real. You know that the Patriots year over year have some of the best coverage units of any team in the NFL. They do a better job of taking away your primary target in the passing game. Like Lou Anarumo, Bill Belichick, they cut their teeth as defensive back coaches. So they build their defense from the back to front. And, of course, Gerard Mayo learned the tricks of the trade from his Yoda, Bill Belichick. So that defense is always going to be strong. They're just trying to figure out the quarterback stuff and get some other things going as they move into this new era. So I knew that Christian Gonzalez, Kyle Duggar, these are some of the best defenders in the back end and the secondary that you're ever going to find. They go about 8 or 9 deep, and they're multiple. Like, you got more guys who can play 2 and 3 positions back there. So I was just like, this is going to be tough. And then when we started not having a touchdown that was a touchdown with Mike Gesicki being ruled not a touchdown, I said, okay, this isn't good. When we saw Tanner Hudson start playing Harlem Globetrotter, I don't know what he was doing. He fumbles the ball.
Celebrating.
He really Yeah, then he gets it. Kyle Duggar punched it out. I said, oh, man. And then when Charlie Jones fumbled the punt return to start the second half to give him 3 more points, I said, this game is shaping up to be one of the biggest upsets in the league in week 1 because we're gifting the game to them.
Yep.
They're not beating us. We're giving it to them. And they still have a championship pedigree. This is still a great organization.
Yeah.
They're still used to winning. They're not just laying down. And then when you have a game where you take T. Higgins away from Joe Burrow, and then you give him only 50% of Jamar Chase, who played only 31 snaps. Man, I'm telling you, anyone, you don't have to be in Vegas to know that the line is tilting very heavily in the favor of the New England Patriots. You let them run the ball 39 times for 170 yards, and then anybody who knows football say, I think that team's going to win. I think that team's going to win.
Yeah. Man, you talked about the touchdown that ruled not. I mean, Gesicki catches the football, goes to the ground. I mean, the Patriots defensive back, give him credit. He's fighting them and all that sort of thing. The thing that bothers me, and Solly, maybe you can clear this up for me, but, it's different. When you're running the football, if you break the plane, it's a touchdown. And then whatever happens after that, happens after that.
That's
when you're running the ball. When you're catching the football, if you catch the football and you have 2 feet down in bounds, you have possession.
Plays over.
Yeah, why shouldn't it be over?
over.
Just like if you stretch it out? I mean, why are there 2 different deals with the running game or not even the running game? If you catch a football and do it, it's a run it and get it over the goal. But if you're in the end zone, you have to go to the ground and present. Why that differential? I don't get it, man. It's just
they keep changing these rules to the point where even the officials don't know what constitutes a catch or a fumble or a completed play.
Too many layers.
In the end zone, once you catch the ball, say I'm diving for the ball and I've got that ball in my chest and I hit the ground, plays over.
Yep.
Plays over. It's a touchdown. Now, what happened is we've had some plays where guys hit the ground and the ball pops out.
Right.
Now you got people complaining, whining. Well, that shouldn't count. Yes, the play's over as soon as you hit the ground because that's the touchdown. That's part of the end of the play.
Right.
Like as soon as you step into the end zone, like if I was on my feet and I stepped in as soon as that ball break the plane, the play's over. Right. Because it's now a touchdown. Nothing else can happen after that. So look, we've tweaked the rules way too much trying to appease everyone. I covered baseball for years, Dave.
Sure.
And I'm gonna tell you what constitutes a catch. If I'm the catcher, you come sliding into me into home plate.
Yeah.
There could be a whole cloud of smoke. When the dust clears, if that ball's on the ground, there ain't no catch. If I'm holding the ball, that's a catch. In baseball, if the ball ever hits the ground, it's a no catch. I don't care who you are, where you're at. We made that. That used to be a rule in the NFL. If the ball ever hit the ground, no catch. The ground should never help you catch a ball. We're too skilled. We're skilled athletes. We should not need the ball to help the ground, to help us catch a ball.
Yeah.
Mike Gesicki had that ball. As soon as he hit the ground, the ball came back up into his stomach.
Yeah.
He still had possession.
Right.
The ball was in his stomach, not the defender's stomach.
Yep.
But that goes to show you we've gotten into not only judging the catch, but the aftermath after the catch, and then what even happens after that. So it's gotten to be way too much. We've overcomplicated the process. It's gone from being an objective thing where, in other words, objectivity means clear, irrefutable evidence. Subjectivity means subject to your opinion, my opinion, the next guy's opinion.
Right.
And we all see things differently. That's what we ought to, just human nature. It's part of our DNA. Right. We bring our own experiences to the things that we see. That's why when it comes to officiating, you cannot allow people to bring their feelings and their opinion into what a call should be. We need to go back to making it more objective based on irrefutable evidence. And that's it. No subjectivity, no one's feelings should determine as to whether or not that was a touchdown.
And that's the remarkable thing. They have invested all this money, resources, everything into the instant replay. And it shows the fact that, like you say, he never lost possession. It bobbled, but he back up into his stomach.
Back up into his chest,
and they overturn it even with all that. And then the league the next day has to say that was a blown deal. Yeah. Why doesn't New York say, look, you guys, look, man, it's or did New York say, no, it's no catch? I guess New York must have said to them, it's not a catch. And then the next day, New York says, oh, it really was a catch? Come on, man. You're investing all this money, all these resources.
They want the officials to handle their own business in game. You got all these games happening at the same time. They have a command central for the real, what we call operations that's taking place in these stadiums. For instance, when Damar Hamlin, was on the field and you've got, people trying to save his life. Are they going to play or not play? That goes to command central.
Right.
But the operations of the officiating of the game has to stay within the confines of that stadium. I don't know that we want to get into like there's somebody on high, Zeus, for instance, on Mount Olympus, controlling all the games around the league.
They have a replay booth. Every game has a replay booth at the game.
That's right. Now it should be operating within that stadium. It should never the control of that game or what happens on the field should never leave that stadium. I'm just a real believer in that. Because again, why would you have all the equipment there then if you're going to defer to someone who's in another zip code, right? And have them decide it. But so I agree with you. You've got the people there to get it right. Get it right. Someone overruled the official who got it right on the field. Someone overruled that person based on video evidence that should have never offered the opinion to overrule what was called on the field.
Man, that turned out to be huge. Like you said, I mean, this turned out this game was basically decided by a couple of things that you can't lose if you want to win a football game. They lost the football. They had 2 turnovers. They had 2 giveaways that led to 10 points. And they lost the line of scrimmage, Sol. And we both know how important that is to control the line of scrimmage. I mean, Patriots rushed for 170, Bengals rushed for 70.
Ooh, and only 16 rushing attempts.
Yep.
I think we only had like 46 offensive plays. I think they had 70 plus plays.
64 to 48.
64. Okay, 64 to 48. That's right.
Yep.
And they held the time of possession. That's what it was, 34 minutes. We had it about just shy of 26 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
So they racked up more plays, more opportunities. They kept our offense off the field. And you heard Zach Taylor say we could not get into any kind of rhythm on offense. Could not. And even when we're ready to go, come out second half, defense gets the stop. They get the ball first in the second half. Defense gets stopped, force the punt. Offense ready to go. Nope. Charlie Jones gives them the ball after. Poor kid. He's trying hard. But like I heard Coach Belichick say to his players, he would ask them, what were you thinking? Oh, I was trying to make a play. He would say, well, try to make the right play because you made a play for the other team. Like that's why he came up with that phrase, just do your job. Don't try to do more than that.
Yeah.
And you could see that he was trying to give this effort, but he got outside of the fundamentals of what any coach would ask a player to do. Try so hard that you expose the ball. And that's what happened. You exposed the ball. Same thing that Tanner Hudson did. You're trying so hard, whatever you were doing with the ball, you waving it around and
celebrate, man.
Yeah,
I mean, don't celebrate till you score.
Oh, that was horrible. He saw that goal line now. His eyes got big. He thought he was already there. Nope, not in our league, man. You got to compete until the 11th hour and then even past that. But that fumble by Charlie Jones it just widened the chasm. We were digging our way out of a hole. We already down 10-0, and you gave them a freebie.
Yeah.
You gave them a freebie. 3 more points. Think about if we're driving at the end of the game for a field goal to tie it as opposed to a touchdown to win it. We still want to get the touchdown, but man, it just started. Sometimes these things crescendo. It's not one thing that loses games for you, as you well know. It's an accumulation of these bad moments and bad decisions that makes it impossible to overcome them. And that's what when you saw that when Zach decided to punt it, when 2:30 left on the clock, 4th and 5 from their own 15-yard line. You almost got the sense he felt like the calamities were too much to overcome in that moment.
Yeah. You look at it as the old saying goes, the New England Patriots decided they had to defeat the Bengals, the opponent. The Bengals decided that they had to beat themselves and the New England Patriots. They helped them. I mean, you got to take yourself off your own schedule, and New England did a better job at taking themselves off their own schedule than the Bengals did. I mean, it's
I'm going to share something with you, Dave. And this isn't any fault of the Bengals coaching staff, because I think they have a great coaching staff. I really do. There are several teams, if you look around this league, they weren't ready to play. This is a byproduct of how we treat our preseason. This is a byproduct of these salaries that I think many people in our game, and I'm talking ownership, coaching staff, front office members, and I'm not talking about the Bengals exclusively here.
Right.
I'm talking it's pervasive around our league. They don't want to get anybody hurt.
Yep.
So well, you know what we do now? We don't practice football the way football should be practiced. We don't go at it. I could imagine if Paul Brown was around, he was to see one of these practices today. It would break his heart, because he was like, "What do you plan to get done with that?"
Right.
You don't want to get anybody hurt. Well, you're going to get that done, but that's about all you're going to get done. It's not just the Bengals. It's teams all around this league who aren't prepared to play week 1. They're not prepared to tackle. They're not prepared to really get the rhythm and the consistency that's needed to play this game.
Yep.
They're not ready. The timing. Yep. They're not ready. And they're not ready because the work that's required does require you to put players at risk. Yeah, you can get hurt in training camp. Yep, you sure can. But these teams, the stakes are so high in their mind, they don't want to expose anyone to any kind of threat of injury or pain, that we forego the real quality of preparation. I believe Zach Taylor did as much as he possibly could to prepare his team without getting anyone hurt. They use these practices, these joint sessions, 12-play drives, 15-play drives to get them in shape, to get them ready. He did everything that one can conceivably do without exposing them to harm. Right. And at the end of the day, you and I both know you can't get ready without being exposed to harm.
Look at the teams that approach it where I'm going to play my guys. Andy Reid, back-to-back Super Bowl champion, plays his guys in the preseason.
Tom Brady always played in the preseason.
Mayo with the Patriots plays his guys. Yeah. Tomlin with the Steelers plays his guys. They all won. They all won in the opener. Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's coincidental. It's like, as we know, Solly, the only way to get ready to play football is to play football.
Kirk Cousins didn't play, and then week 1 game against Pittsburgh, he still didn't play. Yep. He played enough to throw 2 interceptions. It was not what the Atlanta Falcons had hoped they were going to get when they signed him. But look, they were the ones who put the preparation plan together, so they are an accomplice to the poor performance they got from one Kirk Cousins. I'm a Kirk Cousins fan, so I'm not trying to pick on him.
Oh, I got you.
It's part of a lot of what we see around the National Football League.
So, Solly, now you got to go to Kansas City and play a 4:25 game in Kansas City. And Kansas City won a barn burner, against the Baltimore Ravens, and they've got Patrick Mahomes. I mean, honestly, Jacoby Brissett has won more games against Joe Burrow than Patrick Mahomes has. He's 2-1, and Mahomes is 1-3. Mm-hmm. So the Bengals, I mean, they got the big rivalry coming up with Kansas City. I think they'll be playing at a much higher excitement level and all that sort of thing. But, man, no easy task to go there. And the first 2 weeks of the 6th season now for Zach, 1-10, threatening to go 1-11 in the first 2 games in a 6-year time frame. I mean, that's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, and I can't tell you how many times I've talked with Zach for these big games in the middle of the season against Buffalo and against Kansas City, and I said, "Man, you had your guys ready to play."
Yeah,
man, you had your guys. I mean, I mean, he when we went to Buffalo and they've come, they're ready.
Yep,
I think Zach does a good job. He knows about the tempo needed on offense, the energy that's needed. He knows his stuff. it's just there's a part of this league now where we invest so much into the players that you can't afford to get a Joe Burrow hurt in training camp. You
Right.
can't afford to get your best players, any of them, hurt during training camp in an unmeaningful moment. So you're trying to split hairs. There's no safe way to play football. Don't get me wrong. I mean, tackling, targeting, helmet, crown of the helmet stuff. Yeah, you can play with safe intentions and safe rules. But once you play, you got to let the dog loose, man. You got to let him off that chain. You got to sick him. That's the only way you can do it. We tried that at the Pro Bowl. Remember what that turned into? Man, it's like living in a glass house. Everybody's a skittish racehorse.
Yeah.
And you just cannot play. No football player can play the game if he's afraid he's going to get hurt. You know that. I know that. All the players know that. But that has crept into our game. That mindset has crept into our game. And it was, you and I know, it was never even allowed. That kind of fear, that kind of attitude wasn't even allowed in the building. You know that, Dave.
No doubt.
It's crept into our game.
See, I remember Solomon Wilcots. You were a big hitter, an unbelievable tackler. I mean, that was part of your game. You got people on the ground. Like now, they didn't get another centimeter. The play that Jonathan Jones made on Josivas, 4th and 2, that was the third turnover. That was that 4th down stop, 4th and 2.
Mm-hmm.
He catches the ball a yard down the football field. Jonathan Jones comes like a freight train and hits him. And I thought all game long, that secondary, Solly, tackled people.
Sorry. See, Bill Belichick, and I've met with Coach on so many occasions. That's why I admire him so greatly. And that's why I admire Lou Anarumo so greatly, and Steve Spagnuolo, right? And Dick LeBeau.
Yep.
They all come from the same mentality that on the back end of your defense, you have to play that way. That you have to be great tacklers. Every single player. There's no player exempt. I don't care how small you were as a corner or how diminutive you feel that you are. It's about attitude. It's not how to. It's about want to.
Yep.
If you want to get a man on the ground, you're going to do it with vim and vigor. And that's the only way you can play this game on the defensive side of the ball. And that's the way the Patriots play. I knew Gerard Mayo was going to have his guys ready to play that way.
Yeah.
You can't have a running back coming to hit the hole and you move out of the way.
Right. Right. I mean,
I saw that yesterday. I saw that.
Attitude, man.
You got to go get him. You don't wait on him. You go get him.
Yeah.
And guess just because he's bigger, don't mean anything. B-I-G don't spell man. You and I know that. It don't have nothing to do with it. It's about attitude. It's about what's in here. And that's how I played. I watched a lot of guys play like that. And I know that's the proper way to play defense. You just you cannot back down from anyone. You cannot. And that stuff gets on tape and it gets around this league and other people see that and now they're coming for you,
And you know what, Solly, in my experience, I found that guys that played that way like you played did not get hurt as much as the guys that were like, I'm going to make sure I don't get hurt. I'm getting out. They got hurt, man. I mean, if you're playing that way on a football field, you're just aching for a problem. Man.
That's right. That's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You think you're going to get hurt. Guess what? I just tell you that stuff. I was never a guy who missed practice. I was never a guy who missed games. I was never a guy who sat it out. I was never a guy who was inactive. I was never a guy where the other guy's going out to play a game and I ain't playing.
Yeah.
You ain't playing without me. I'm sorry. I'm not saying that you had to have me, but I'm thinking I'm too important to this thing that you want me out there. I mean, that's just how I felt about the product that I put on the field. That it meant a lot to me to be there for my teammates, to be there for the team that was paying me to be there. And so there ain't no way I was going to be a healthy scratch. Dude, it was going to have to be a cast. You're going to have to cast me up and strap me down in order to miss that game. So, but listen, I think a lot of our game is played with the heart. A lot of our game is played with the mindset. And I think that's what's needed. And the Bengals have that. They have a lot of players who play with that. You and I both know that.
Absolutely.
They got some tough dudes in that locker room. And
No doubt.
that's why I'm a fan of a lot of these players. They play with that mindset.
Yeah.
But man, when you're watching another team exude that a little bit more than your team, you start to say, okay, we got to get it going here. And that's what the NFL is all about. It offers us another week to get it right. And you and I both know, you go down to Kansas City and beat them, ain't nobody going to even remember what happened with the Patriots. You go down there and beat the Kansas City Chiefs and beat Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and Travis Kelce. Nobody's going to remember week one.
Very true. That's absolutely true. Let me get you out of here on this, Solly. Could the Bengals have been affected by a self-fulfilling prophecy, like you had mentioned? You know, you used the term self-fulfilling prophecy. It's like during the course of a game, with all the social media and all the awareness that players have about, you know, a negative thing, like, oh, they're 1-9 going into this football game in the first 2 games of the season, and it doesn't start well. Do you think that negativity creeps into their mind at all, or do you think they're like, oh, no, you know, that's out of my mind. I'm playing football. What do you think?
No, I think they were almost clueless to that. I think for players, if they hear that, they're determined to make sure it doesn't happen.
Right.
Like if they're being told that you can't win on opening day, you can't win first couple of weeks, they're like, oh, like hell, we're getting this done. Like they tend to hit that switch. I shudder to think something about players like a Jamar Chase, who's given everything to this team, who means so much to this team. I think to have him signed and under contract, I think it means more to the players, to the team, than maybe the people in the front office who writes the checks. I think it means more than what they realize.
Yeah.
I listen, it's like any company, right? When you have an employee that goes beyond the call of duty, they give that discretionary energy every single day. They're a team guy. Look, Jamar Chase, man, he answers the media. He deals great with the media. He gives you a quote. He comes to work. This guy works hard. You know, have you ever seen a wide receiver work in the weight room like he works in the weight room?
Oh, it's crazy, man. He does everything right. Everything right.
So now, I don't care what company you work for. When you see another guy who's that kind of employee and you see the company playing brinksmanship with that guy, then you start to think about yourself a little bit like, well, God, if they treat that guy like that, what about me? You can't help but think that. Now, I know players think like that. I know everyone, even in any industry or career, they think about that.
Sure.
Right? If you do that to that guy, you do that, T. Higgins on side, this guy's, what are we doing here? How come we don't have our, and now the work every day is sort of undone, unkept. I mean, poor Zach Taylor didn't even have his best players on the practice field every day the way that he would. It wasn't optimal for the coach. It wasn't optimal for the player. It wasn't optimal for the team. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
The point that I'm trying to make here is that I do believe the team emotionally was distracted.
Not in harmony. No harmony.
No harmony. There was no connectivity. This team, they looked disinterested for the first time. And I'm not used to that from this group.
Yeah. Something was wrong, man.
Yeah,
something's definitely wrong.
Yeah. And listen, I'm not here to tell Mike, Katie, and Troy their business. They can handle their business. That's why they're owners. They've been owners longer than I've been doing this. So
sure.
But it matters how people feel when they come in the doors every day. It matters.
Sure.
They got to want to be there for you. They got to want to play hard for you. Every study in social science says that they give more, they play harder, they work harder across any industry when they know you care.
Right.
When they know you care. I'm not talking about football players. I'm talking about in any industry, any company, any corporate culture that you can name. Okay? This could be on the battlefield in some remote corner of the world. They're going to take that hill because the people they're defending they got their hearts into it, and they know the people care for them, and they care for the people they're fighting for. Football's the same way. Sports is the same way. Going to work every single day is the same way. When you know the people that you're fighting hard for care about you, and you care about them, and that's when you do this. That's when the championship is going to come to Cincinnati.
Yeah, and
when that kind of harmony is realized.
Even take it to a teacher student in a classroom.
That's right.
If the student realizes the teacher really cares about them as a human being,
oh man,
they're gonna respond to that teacher more and learn more. It's just environmental stuff, right? I mean, it's just getting it done right.
Isn't that what Paul Brown said that he was? They asked him about the greatness he was as a coach. He says, all I am is a teacher.
Exactly.
He said, that's what I do. I teach.
Yep.
But I'm going to tell you now, he was as hard as any teacher, but he cared about guys now.
No doubt.
He cared about the work that got done. He cared he knew if you cared.
Yeah.
By how you came to work and how you put the work in. I remember getting on the plane, me and ET, we were getting on the plane late for an away game one time, and they had to pull that plane back up. And I'm mad at ET because I'm feeling like he made me late. You know, I'm like, man, you're going to get me cut. They're going to keep you and cut me. And, man, I remember we had that first seat on the plane was PB was sitting right there. And, man, we had to walk by him as we were going to own that plane. He stopped us. He said, wait. And he leaned to us. He said, don't do that again. Oh, my God. I was like, yes, sir, Mr. Brown. Yes, sir. And I was like, I told ET, I'm never riding with you again. I'm not trying to blame somebody else for my failures or my shortcomings, but I was never a late kind of guy. I'm just telling you that. I'm the early guy just to be on time. But man, hey, look, Paul Brown, I didn't want to disappoint him. That's the moral to that story. I didn't want to disappoint him.
Right.
He drafted me, kept me on the team as a rookie. Man, I was trying to do everything I can to show that his decision was the right decision.
Yeah,
I was trying to, every single day, I was trying to reward that decision. That's all I ever wanted to do. And you don't get to stay forever. You don't get to stay long. You just make good of the time that you have. And that's what I wanted to do.
Exactly. I mean, he was the type of leader where you wanted to do things right for him.
Yep.
And my thing, I'm a rookie lineman, but I'm on field goal extra point, and I got too high, and guy got underneath my pads, and we made the field goal, but I ended up on my side, all discombobulated. And so they're watching the special teams film. We're all watching it as a whole team, and PB comes up behind me, and they let the tape continue to run, the film at that stage continue to run. And he leans down and he goes, as I'm going down on my side, he leans down and he goes, young man, we can't have that. You look like a cat that got run over by a truck. that just can't happen anymore. I'm like, yes, sir.
Can't happen. Can't happen.
We can't have that. It can't happen.
Yeah, man. If he told you something, you should be glad that he was speaking to you.
Exactly.
That means he saw something in you that was worthwhile.
Right.
And he was pouring into you at that moment.
He hadn't given up on you.
He hadn't given up on you. And I remember, even before games, he'd come into the locker room, he'd say, hey, and he could still coach, man. He could still tell you about the technique you needed to use. If you see this alignment now, what you need to do, step out just a little bit wider to put you in position to make that play. I'm like, oh, thank you, PB, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. He had it. He had it in spades, That's why this organization is a great one. We felt like we were always playing with a winning hand when he was around.
Yeah.
Guys like Dick LeBeau, and that we had Sam and we had Bruce Cosell. We had all these. We had Mouse McNally, man. We just always felt like we had a winning hand. We had Anthony Munoz and Max Montoya. There
you go.
Man, I'm like, man, we playing with a winning hand. There ain't no way we losing. That's how I felt every single Sunday.
I agree, Solly. And PB, he dropped those golden nuggets every once in a while. And you were there trying to make sure you grabbed every one of them because
that's right.
He was special. Yeah, Solly, I can't thank you enough. You're the best. And I'll tell you, I'm looking forward to the Bengals rectifying things out in Kansas City. It'd be nice to knock the Chiefs off, man, out there. That'd be big.
Yeah. Hey, on to Kansas City, right?
There you go. On to Kansas City.
On to Kansas City. Thanks for having me, Dave.
You're the best, Solly. Appreciate you. Dave Lapham here, and every day I am grateful for my experience to have played professional football. As a player, I realized self-motivation, leadership, and appreciating your teammates are key. At First Star Logistics, you can use those same attributes to create the life you want for you and your family. Build your future by working hard like I did. You'll see results both on and off the field. Call First Star Logistics today and be part of our winning team.
Opportunity knocking.